Hi. It's great to be here. It's great to be at the Web Summit, to see the buzz of the fair, to hear the pitches, but it's also great to be in Lisbon. It's great to be in Lisbon, to wander the streets where you have the past, but also where you can feel that you can grasp the future. You see the crange, you feel the buzz. The thing is, if you walk the streets of Lisbon, you have to be willing to walk a few hilly steps. Where I grew up, the countryside was completely flat. No hills to be climbed. But what you got in return was an amazing horizon, the biggest sky imaginable. And just as well as the Atlantic sort of made the best of people of Portugal to give them wide horizons, so did this very flat landscape that I grew up in. It showed me and the people I live with that you can dream, that you can make a difference. But the size of the landscape also told you that, well, you can dream bigger if you dream with other people. Then you can make things happen. When I was 20 in the last century, actually the last millennium, I was asked to run for parliament. Well, the thing was that it was completely safe. There was no risk of getting elected. So I thought, well, maybe I can learn something. And so I thought, why not? And if I am to sum up the atmosphere here at the Web Summit, the buzz, the enthusiasm, the interest, it would be the same two words. Why not? When people ask you, and I guess they do, when you come with your pitch, your ideas, your enthusiasm, why you? Why now? Why change to something that we don't really know about, even if things aren't as they should be? Well, the answer that should come back is, why not? Because that's the spirit that opens new horizons. That's the spirit that has made the internet and digital technologies part of everyday life. But what if the spirit in itself wasn't enough? What if the thing that was holding back innovation wasn't our own determination, but the actions of powerful companies? That the action of powerful companies, that was the reason that innovation was held back. Well, then we need competition law enforcement, because competition makes innovation work. And let me read you a quote. When you have to interact with other agents, you have to adapt. If you don't, you lose. It wasn't one of my colleagues, competition law enforcers, who said that. It was the creator of a machine learning project that put two robots into a virtual sumo arena. When the experiment started, none of the robots knew anything. They didn't even know how to walk. But after 1 billion of virtual contests, they'd learned sumo wrestling without being taught, without watching, but simply by competing. The two robots, by competing, learned how to wrestle. And that is what competition does. It makes us learn. It makes us do something that we didn't imagine that we could do beforehand. And that means that it is a problem when powerful companies, which dominate the market, decide to use their power to close down competition, because that can end up also closing the door to innovation. And this is why dominant companies like Google have a special responsibility. A special responsibility not to undermine competition because you're dominant, because you hold all these powers. And we had to give Google a fine because it didn't live up to this special responsibility. When Google discovered that its comparison shopping service wasn't doing very well, Google was free to compete by improving its services. It was their choice to do so. But they did something else. Because we cannot accept when Google used the power of its search engine to deny others the chance to compete. When it started to use its own comparison shopping service to show that at the top of the first page of search results, while demoting rivals, so on average, they only appeared on page 4 in your search results. Can I see a raise of hands? How many of you have been on page 4 in your search results? Oh, wow, that's impressive. How many of you would like to find your company on page 4 in search results? No show of hands, I thought so. Because you don't want that mechanism of promoting one thing and demoting other things. Because that comes in the way of innovation. That innovation that drives things forward. And, well, by this decision, hopefully we can open the market for competition and drive things forward. We also need to make sure that mergers doesn't undermine competition. And because if they do that, well, of course, it makes it more difficult for innovative businesses to make it in the market. And the more important data becomes for competition, well, the bigger interest we take in big data also when it comes to mergers. That doesn't mean that we're suspicious of big data in itself. Of course not. Big data holds enormous potential. It can make us do wonderful things. Take an issue or a thing like autonomous cars. It can help us use resources much better. It can make us save time on transportation. It can give people with a disability an unprecedented mobility and improve their lives. Big data can help wind farms operate much better and help us change the way we produce energy to meet the challenges of climate change. But controlling large amounts of data shouldn't be a way of shutting out your competitors. We looked at this issue last year when Microsoft bought LinkedIn. We wanted to know that whether bringing the data of those two companies together would make it too hard for anyone else to compete. In the end, after having looked thoroughly into the issue, we found that it was not the case. Because other companies still had access to plenty of data. And if data doesn't become an obstacle to competition, but if data becomes an obstacle to competition, obviously we'll be there. And we will try to do our best to stop it in order to allow for competition. But the thing is that it's not only companies who can undermine competition. It also happens that governments take decisions that makes it more difficult to compete. When a government gives a special, selective tax treatment to just few companies, selective treatment that is not available to the huge majority of businesses who just pay their taxes, well, that makes it more difficult to compete on equal terms. And that's why we have taken action against selective tax benefits, to make sure that not just most companies pay their taxes, but that all companies pay their taxes. And we are also working towards changing our taxing system to fully understand how to tax also a digital economy, to make sure that our tax systems are fair. And we hope to be able to reach international agreement on a new approach already by next spring. The problem is not that a company is successful. That's great. It is great when you can produce something, when you can innovate, when you can show customers things that they really like. Success is a good thing. It's an inspiration. It inspires others to try to match it. I guess everyone here has a dream of being sort of as successful as Google itself. So we have obviously no objection to Google dominating the market with its search engine. That's fine. We just don't want it to use that dominance to squeeze out competition. Because we don't think that it should be the size of the company that decides whether it's successful or not. It shouldn't be the connections with the government that decides whether a company is successful or not. It should be the innovative capacities, the products, the services that it makes, the merits of its products. That should be the basis of success. And it's more important today than ever before. Because the digital economy, the internet, is now a part of everyone's life. And that means that each and every one of us, fans of technology or not, and I'm a fan, well, we're being asked now to trust a new digital world. And obviously, to some degree, it's a help. You can ask different rating services to show you whether you can trust people that you have never even met before. But more and more, we are being asked to put our trust into algorithms, into machines, into computers. Algorithms that most of us might even really understand. Maybe it's not even really understood by the people who use algorithms to do their business, how they're working. So today, maybe the biggest challenge is not our ideas or whether we have enough of ideas. Maybe the question is if we can use technology to win people's trust. And I think we need to listen carefully and to accept the challenge when 1 out of 4 Europeans, well, they don't trust online businesses to protect their personal information. Only 1 out of 4 think that they're protected. And the even sadder thing is that less than 10% find that information and stories published on social networks in general are trustworthy. There is a gap. And to change that, of course, we need a common rule book. Rules that we all play by to make sure that people can trust what we do. New rules on personal information will come into force by May next year. And we need, of course, businesses to take these issues as part of their platform, as part of their identity to protect people, to build trust. And competition enforcement can also make a difference, because it can give the confidence that the businesses that we deal with, that they are playing fair. Of course, the market is just one part of our life. Society is much more. We are much more than customers. We are friends and families and football fans and a lot of other things. But we deal with the market every day. Each and every day we deal with the market. And the way companies treat us, well, I think it rubs off as to how we see the entire world. So it matters. It matters how businesses treat people. Not only employees, but customers, if they can be trusted. And this is why, to conclude, that we need the spirit of this event, the spirit of why not, to help us answer all the challenges that our societies face. And that spirit can't achieve its potential unless the markets and our society have room for innovation. Because it is in creating something new that people can see that we're working for them. And competition law enforcement can help show that no company is above the law. No company has the right to close down competition, to disable the innovation of each and every one of you. But the biggest challenge and the biggest responsibility, it is yours. Companies will have to take fairness and trust to the core of their business values, also when innovating. And that's the only way to enable technology to make the best for each and every one of us, to make society served by technology and not the other way around. Thank you. Thanks a lot.